Banks in Turkey. They might seem just like anywhere else, but there are nuances not visible at first glance. Learning about these nuances, someone might exclaim, "Such kind of banks? Do I need it?" But the truth is, you do. Most expatriates in Turkey sooner or later find themselves obliged to open accounts and transfer money through a local bank. A bank account is required where purchasing real estate in Turkey. It's through this account that mandatory currency sales certificate is obtained and funds should be transferred through it to the apartment seller. Afterward, you can use the bank card for shopping, traveling and utility payments. In a new video, a company with 20 years of experience in the Turkish market, Tolerance Real Estate Agency, explains what you need to know about Turkish banks, the game rules and the potential pitfalls here. Get ready for we know and talk about what others may not know or discuss. Subscribe to the channel and bookmark the video right in your browser, it will come in handy. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments. Banks' part in Turkey's financial sector is nearly 80%. The banking system is well developed and reliable. The activities of all credit institutions are regulated by the Banking Association. There are 3 state-owned banks available for average people needs: Halkbank, Vakıfbank and Ziraat Bank, the latter being the country's oldest credit institutions founded during the Ottoman Empire. These are not all the state-owned banks, but the others exclusively deal with the businesses, not individuals. The majority of operations and financial resources are concentrated in these 4. American, German and Dutch banks also operate in the country. Bank reliability is typically assessed using various parameters. The primary one is the size of their assets. In the article on our website you can find information about the asset volumes of the largest Turkish banks. Take a look if you're curious. There are also details about some organizations. Now let's mention that the top 5 banks in terms of assets are Ziraat, İşbank, Garanti Bank, Halkbank and QNB Finance Bank. Among the largest we must also mention Akbank, Denizbank and Yapı Kredi. In the early 2000s, the Turkish banking sector went through a significant crisis, but at the end of the day it worked to its advantage. Changes and tighter regulatory control by the authorities transformed the Turkish banking sector into a reliable and resilient mechanism, and there are currently no trouble banks in the country. Most of these banks work with foreigners. However, to fully access the range of banking services, it's better to be a Turkish citizen. Here's a link to the video showing how Tolerance company assists in getting Turkish citizenship when buying property. The Tolerance also helps its clients with opening a bank account. The set of services offered by the most banks is roughly the same: issuance and maintenance of plastic cards, deposits, loans, currency exchange, transfers, including via the SWIFT system. However, the fees for these operations can vary significantly, not only among different banks, but also within different branches, and this is where the peculiarities of Turkish banks begin. Many banking matters in Turkey must be addressed in person. You can't even open an account remotely, it must be done face-to-face. So, when choosing a bank, have in mind the branch working hours. In most Turkish banks, working days are from Monday to Friday, even though the rest of the country operates on Saturdays as well. Banks are typically open from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Branches close for lunch, usually for an hour, starting at 12 or 12:30 p.m. If you want to open bank account, it's better to come before lunch, because after it they may simply decline your request and ask you to come tomorrow. Of course, large banks have branches at airports, and that branches operate round the clock, but it's not the best idea to go to the airport to open an account or get a plastic card, because in future you may need to get some important documents and make special transactions. That can be done only at the branch where you opened your account. So you can imagine how inconvenient it could be to go to the airport every time you need some bank certificate with a stamp. Now let's go to the most crucial information about Turkish banks. This will be explained by a person who has lived in this country for over 20 years, manages multiple companies, and is well versed in local nuances. Sergei Volchenkov, the Director of Development at the Tolerance Real Estate. This company, among other services, assists clients in opening accounts and conducting banking transactions. The most important thing to know about banks in Turkey is that each branch of the same bank can establish its own rules. This applies to opening accounts for foreigners as well. They may refuse to open an account without a residence permit or a deposit in one branch, while in another they might open it for you without any questions, even though it's the same bank. Sometimes different bank clerks may mention different conditions, and the level of service can even depend on their mood, just depend whether they like you or not. Deposits are usually requested for a period ranging from a week to a month, and the amount can go up to $10,000 or euros. Unbelievable, but all of this is at the discretion of the branch manager. If you ask them to justify the requirements with documents, they might show you a simple sheet with numbers written in pencil, without any stamps or signatures. And here this is considered perfectly normal. To open an account in a Turkish bank, you typically need the following documents: passport, Turkish tax identification number, which can be obtained in just 10 minutes on the tax office's website, the residence permit card, the address registered as your place of residence. Sometimes instead of this, they may request a utility bill with your name and address, so it's important to register with utility companies even if you only rent an accommodation. If you don't have a residence permit, they may ask you to make a deposit or pay for insurance. Some banks, like Guarantee BBVA, may not open accounts for foreigners without a work permit. It's crucial to understand that conditions are constantly changing, and what's applicable today may change tomorrow. Banks aim to minimize risks, especially when dealing with individuals from countries under international sanctions. The easiest way to open an account is after getting a residence permit and registering your address. Then even those banks that previously refused may open an account for you. In most banks, you can open an account in Turkish lira, US dollars and euros. ATMs typically offer the same currencies, but not all of them support both cash withdrawal and deposits. Many ATMs only allow cash withdrawal. Each bank has daily cash withdrawal limits, and these limits vary widely. It's better to go right to the bank office if you want to withdraw a large sum of money and make a prior request for it. Cash withdrawals from foreign cards are almost always subject to fees, and the fee amount is displayed on the ATM screen in advance. By pressing the Continue button, you essentially agree to the terms. The key is not to use DCC conversion, as this can result in charges of 7–10% rather than the usual 1 or 2%. Keep in mind that a debit card may not work for paying for car rentals, hotels and apartments in another country, or for purchasing items from foreign online stores. You can open a credit card for these purposes, but it's more complicated. Bank may require a deposit of 120 or 140% of the amount. In a sense, they offer you to use your own money, but with interest. Sometimes it's enough to open a virtual card and use it for online payments. You can usually issue such a card directly within the bank mobile app. However, if you open an account for a significant transaction, be sure to inquire about the associated costs. Here are the few more pieces of advice. When you're getting a card, make sure to inquire about all the fees and limits. It might turn out that the bank charges for incoming SWIFT transfers, and the limits on the transfers are quite low. When choosing the payment system for your card, it's better not to opt for the Troy system, no matter how much the bank may recommend it. Troy works only in Turkey, and even there your card may not be accepted in some stores or restaurants. And let's emphasize once again, each bank branch has its own rules, and appealing to common rules can be costly. It's better to negotiate on the spot. This is Turkey. As the ancient Romans used to say, and there were quite a few of them in this land, premonitus premonitus, forewarned is forearmed. It seems that even back then there was something to warn about when it came to local peculiarities. The Tolerance Homes has now warned you about the rules of the game and potential pitfalls. Review our video once more, take notes so you don't run into trouble with banks in Turkey. We are ready to answer your questions in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe, for our channel is known as the most useful, informative and necessary source of knowledge about life, real estate and relocation to Turkey. Tolerance Company always helps its clients, including opening accounts, transferring money from abroad, obtaining banking documents. It's just a small part of what Tolerance professionally does, in addition to its main mission to help you find the best place under the sun and make it your home. Clients appreciate it, and many of them become our friends. Join us too.